Hey everyone, so today we're going to be making a creamy Cajun shrimp pasta. This is a good meal if you want to treat yourself after a long week of work, or if you want to have a girls' night, boys' night, or if you have a date coming up and you want to cook for your significant other. This is a great recipe for that. It takes about 15 minutes to prep and about 15 minutes to cook. So let's get started. So for the recipe, you're gonna need green onions, which we have right here. They've already been washed and cleaned. We're gonna use it as a garnish and we're gonna put it in the pasta. Maybe we'll see how we feel. And then we have our shrimp right here. This is 21 to 25 per pound. And it hasn't been deveined yet and the tail is still on because I wanted to walk you through how to do that on camera. And then we have our salt. Oh, that's pepper. We have our salt and then we have our pepper. Over here we have Parmesan cheese. You can buy the block, but sometimes life happens. We're busy, we're tired, we're lazy. So I already have it pre-shredded already. And then we have some more black pepper, white pepper right here. We have garlic powder. We have cayenne pepper, red pepper because I love a little kick. And then we have actual red pepper because I still love a little kick. Green pepper. We have lemon juice for some extra. We have shallots, which is the cousin to onion, and it's really good in pasta dishes, especially with white wine. We have parsley here. We have microgreens, which is going to be for our garnish. Heavy whipping cream, and then salted butter over here. And then for the pasta, we're actually going to be using linguine noodles. You can use penny noodles, parsley, any other type of noodles, but I like linguine noodles the best. And then we have more seasonings over here. Paprika, what's this? Onion powder, and then oregano. Oh, and then last but not least, we have our white wine, which is gonna be Chardonnay. It's a dry, kind of bitter wine. It's my favorite to cook with, or you can just use regular cooking wine. So that's all the ingredients we have, and then we're gonna keep going. The first thing we're gonna do is boil our water. So what I always do is I always add kosher salt. I never use table salt or iodized salt. Kosher salt is a little bit thicker and it just helps penetrate flavor better. We're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of kosher salt to our water, and then we're gonna give it a stir. And we're just gonna bring this to a boil. This is gonna be for our pasta. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and prep our vegetables. So we have our green onions here, which like I said before, we're gonna use to garnish. So I'm just gonna chop the top because it's like the loose ends, and then we're just gonna go through it. And you want your knife to do the work for you. So I'm just gliding the green onions underneath the knife. And there you go. Pretty cute. All right, so we're gonna sit on our plate, and then we're just gonna keep going with our prep. So if you want to save time, you can do this probably like the day before, a couple hours before you're about to cook. It just helps everything go by faster. Next, we have our green peppers. Now everyone cuts peppers differently, so watch how I do it. You can either take it home, run with it, do it the same way, or you can have your own way. All right, and just to be clear, everything has been washed and cleaned. All right, so we're gonna chop the root, and then we have this little part right here. I like to cut mine bit by bit. Some people like to go around. It's whatever you feel comfortable doing. So this is what's left. And now what I like to do is do slices. And there are also machines that do this for you, so don't feel the need to always hand slice everything. And a good chef's knife is your best friend. If you are in the kitchen, make sure you invest in like an actually good brand. Alright, there you go. So now what I do, and I'm sure there's probably better ways to do this, but this is the way I just always cling to. Now I just bunch it together and go through it and get my small chops. As you can see, I'm letting the knife do the work for me. Now they're not all perfect because we're not in culinary school, we're just trying to cook some dinner. And you probably just need half, so I'm probably not gonna cut that one. You don't need the whole thing. All right, I'm gonna put this to the side. All right, same thing. This one's a little bit smaller. So I'm just gonna use half. We don't need all of it. And repeat. And then put this to the side. You can put this in like a Ziploc, put this in a Ziploc bag and use it again for something else. And the reason I like to use red and green, red is a little bit spicier to me. Green is really mild and it's just for color. You can also use orange bell peppers. Green peppers are always gonna be cheaper than your red pepper. All right, we're gonna repeat. Make sure you're let the knife do the work for you. So you wanna make sure you have a really sharp chef's knife or you will be struggling. All right, there we go. So that's our red pepper. I just use half. And by this step, your water should be boiling. All right, next up we have our shallots. Like I said earlier, this is the cousin to the onion. So it's not as a strong flavor as the onion, but it still gives you that like vinegar-ish type taste. So I like to put it in my pasta dishes. It's often used in French cooking, and it goes really well with the white wine. So we're gonna cut it similar to how we cut an onion. You always wanna keep either the root intact or the stem intact. And then we're just gonna make a small slice. And then you peel it with your hand, like so. Now this shallot does have, it did come with 2 bulbs. I used one last night, so this is the other bulb. All right, so this is what it looks like. We're gonna make a horizontal cut right through it. And then we're gonna go ahead and make some vertical cuts. So the knife should be facing away from you. I guess towards you, whichever direction. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And now we're gonna chop. Once again, there are machines that do this for you. I'm only gonna use half. So I shouldn't have chopped it all, but here we are. Okay, so this is what it looks like. All right, and then we have our parsley. Once again, this has already been cleaned and washed. You just wash it with water and then take a paper towel and pat it dry. All right, so we have our parsley here. So I'm just gonna go through it with the knife. Chop, chop. It doesn't have to be a fine chop. This is just to go on our shrimp because I don't have dried parsley, so we're using fresh today. Now, some people prefer dried to fresh. Some people say fresh is stronger. I always think fresh is stronger than dried, but I also know that we don't always have, fresh herbs available. So whichever one you have at home will work. All right, so this is our parsley here. It's going in a little container. Okay, we're almost done prepping. All right, so next we're going to work on our shrimp. So we have 21 to 25 per pound shrimp here, jumbo shrimp. And I like to use jumbo shrimp just because it absorbs the flavor better. It's harder to overcook. So what I'm gonna do is kind of just peel it and keep the tail on. Now it's up to you if you wanna keep the tail on or off. I like to keep the tail on for aesthetics. Not really because I like to peel it, that's a bit much, but it's just for y'all, so it's really good. You can also buy this already done. If you notice when you go to the store, it's cheaper to buy shrimp that has the shell and the tail on it. And that's because you're doing most of the work. So when you buy it peeled and deveined already, that's because they did the work, so they're gonna charge you more for the shrimp. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and put our noodles in since our water is boiling. So I'm just gonna use about half the bag. That was messy. All right, just stick it in and then check on it from time to time. Use a fork and we're gonna separate it. And since we added the salt, some people add oil to their water. I don't like to do that. Just get a fork. If you have a really good brand of pasta, you shouldn't need to add oil. Oil sometimes helps it prevent it from sticking, but if you spend some money on some pasta, you shouldn't need to worry about that. So we're just gonna let it do its thing and we'll check back on it in about 2-3 minutes. All right, so now we're gonna make our Cajun seasoning mix. You can buy this from the store if you want to. I like to pre-make it because when you buy it from the store, it has a lot of salt in it and I don't like the way that tastes. So I like to make mine from scratch. So first we're gonna put some black pepper. I don't usually measure, but you can if you want. So like half a teaspoon. So we have some black pepper, we have some onion powder, we have some paprika, we have oregano, we have some garlic powder going in here. And then what else we have? We have some white pepper, and then we have some cayenne. You can also add salt to this, but because I'm like, every dish requires a different amount of salt, I don't like to salt my Cajun mix. But you're more than welcome to do that. So we're gonna mix it up. It should look just like this. See how it's red? And if you want a little bit of extra kick, you can add some red pepper flakes. Y'all know I like everything spicy. So this is our Cajun mix. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the shrimp that we deveined earlier, and we're going to add some of this mix to it. I'm about to sneeze because it's spicy already. And then we're gonna add that parsley as well. And then we're gonna get some olive oil and add some olive oil and rub it together because this helps the seasoning stick to the shrimp. All right, so since we added our olive oil to this, we're gonna go ahead and mix it all together. And when you do this, you should see if it needs more seasonings or not. Okay, we're gonna add a little more. Now you don't wanna use all your seasoning because we're gonna use this for our sauce. And then last but not least, we're gonna add some salt. Now I can't tell you how much salt to eat because everybody is on like everyone has different palates, so I just can gauge how much salt. All right, so this is what our shrimp looks like. We're just gonna set that to the side, and then we're gonna keep moving. Now it's time to do some cooking. Now let me go ahead and test my skillet and see how hot it is. It's not as hot as I want it to be, but it should get hot by the time I add all the shrimp. Alright, so usually I like to cook my shrimp in the sauce, but since our shrimp is going on top of our pasta, for the aesthetic, we are going to sear it on both sides. Now my eyes are almost watering because all the seasoning is spicy. Alright, so our pasta's cooking. You want to cook your pasta for like 7 minutes so it's al dente, which is soft to the touch. So right now our pasta's almost done. You can set like a timer if you're not sure what 6 to 7 minutes looks like. But this is what it looks like right now. It's almost done. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip my shrimp now, just because it only needs about 1 or 2 minutes to cook on each side. And as you can see, it has a little crust on it, which is what we want. Now this is why we use jumbo shrimp, because as you can see, kind of shrunk in size. I think it shrunk in size. You always want to, if we use like little small shrimps, it almost would have been overcooked, and it's like gritty when it gets overcooked. We don't want that. All right, so our shrimp is about done. We're gonna take it out. Now I know you're probably like, that shrimp is not done. It definitely is done. It's been 3 minutes or so, and we're gonna return it back to the heat, but it's for sure done. All right, so now we're just gonna remove it from the heat. Now you see all this beautifulness in here. We want to save that. So now we're gonna add our vegetables into the skillet. We're gonna add the red pepper, the shallots. We're gonna wait on the green onions because those don't take that long to cook. And then the green pepper. We're gonna reserve about 2/3 or about a half cup of water. I'll tell you why in just a little bit. All right, so once you do that, just set it to the side, and then you're gonna drain the rest of your water from your noodles. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add olive oil to the pasta. This helps it prevent from sticking. Some people add it before, like I said earlier. I like to just add it at the end. So you just wanna add a little bit, give it a stir, and then remove your pasta from the stove. And not put the pasta pot back on the same stove you just cooked, because the pasta's gonna keep cooking. All right, now we're gonna continue making our sauce. So as you can see, our peppers and shallots have cooked down. We're gonna add our white wine, just a little bit, and then cook that down. And of course, I'm gonna pour myself a glass. Not too much though, so I gotta finish cooking. Okay, so we're gonna let this cook down for just a little bit. And while we do that, we can go ahead and get our heavy cream ready, and then we can also go ahead and get our cheese ready and our green onions. So we're just gonna stir this a little bit. We can also go ahead and add our seasonings now, but I'm gonna just give it about 2 more minutes. So as you can see, our our white wine, our Chardonnay has reduced. So now we're gonna go ahead and add our green onions in. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our heavy cream as well. And remember that Cajun seasoning mix we made earlier, we're gonna go ahead and add that in. And then we're also gonna go ahead and add in some salt. Give it a good stir. Now as you can see, our sauce is bubbling. You don't want it to bubble too much because you don't want it to break. And what that means is that the butter and the oil is gonna separate from the cream. So you wanna keep it at a low heat while you stir. And then next we're gonna add in our pasta water. Before you add in your pasta water, go ahead and taste your sauce and make sure it's to your liking. Add more salt if you need more salt, add more pepper. This is your dish, so make it however you see fit. All right, so let's go ahead and taste it now. Get your little tasting spoon. Ooh, that's good. It's a little spicy, but that's how I like it. After you taste it, make sure it's to your liking. I am gonna add just a little bit more salt, not too much, just a little. And just make sure it's perfect. All right, stir it a little bit, and then now we're gonna add that pasta water. So what that pasta water is gonna do is it's gonna bind the sauce to the noodles. Now it looks a little weird, don't worry. And it looks very thin, but what's gonna happen is as the sauce sits, it's gonna thicken up. So add your pasta water, and then you're gonna go in with your Parmesan cheese. And then you're gonna mix it and let that cheese melt and bind with that water. And then we're gonna go in with our noodles. All right, so now that our sauce is done, I'm gonna turn our heat to low, and then we're gonna add our noodles. Now it is a lot of sauce, but I would rather have too much sauce than not enough sauce. And I also did reserve a little bit of sauce to add on top of the shrimp. So we're just gonna coat, and you see how the sauce is sticking to the noodles? That's because we added that pasta water in there. So we're gonna take the pasta right here. We're just gonna make it pretty. Now we're gonna go in with our shrimp. So I'm just gonna put it on top. You could have just mixed this in the pasta, but it just looks better when we put the shrimp on top. I'm just gonna add a little bit of lemon juice on top of the shrimp. All right, I'm just gonna go in with some red pepper flakes, just to make it pretty. And that's it. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you wanna see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram at @olaAkintola_. You can find my catering business at O's Kitchen Catering. And you can buy my cookbook also at www.olaakintola.com or www.oskitchencatering.com. Thank you.